Hey there, friends. So let's dive into another deck. This is the Chrysalis Tarot. This actually just arrived in the mail. I've been eyeballing this deck for a while. Really attracted to the artwork, and it was on sale, so I jumped all over it. So these two things are actually purchased separately. The deck comes on its own, and then the book is sold separate, and it's supposed to go a little bit more into the artistic decisions that were made, as well as the concepts. It talks about the collective unconsciousness, archetypes, healing, and chakra work. So this looks like it's going to be a really fun and unusual deck that kind of departs from some of the more traditional tarot models. So let's open this up and see what we're looking at. Okay, so this is the card back. And as you can see, this is really colorful and it looks like it's reversible. So I don't generally work with reversals very much unless I just have a really strong gut instinct that it's relevant to the reading. But it looks like if you do use reversals, that this deck will allow for that. I'm not going to walk through every single card. I actually recently was reading online that there's been some conflicts with some unethical people taking scans of different decks and then selling them and really violating artist copyright. And I have a lot of respect for artists of all stripes, and I don't want to in any way contribute to them getting ripped off by unethical people out there on the internet. So I'm not going to walk through every card out of grace for those people. However, what I will do is show you, we'll just kind of randomly scan through a couple of the cards and we'll see what this deck looks like. So let's flip over this first one. All right. So right off the bat, the Pilgrim, Page of Scrolls. Really loving the color. It looks like there's a lot of symbolic activity going on. I'm not exactly sure just yet what the scrolls stand for. I'm guessing that scrolls might be similar to swords or wands. We will find out. But I'm seeing butterfly. Okay, so that makes me think kind of air element as well. I love the framing. And it's nice to see that this is actually a deck where the borders are not getting in the way of the image. Sometimes, as I'm sure you know if you've played with different tarot decks, the borders can become a real pain in the butt and they're kind of ugly and you want to cut them off. But this looks like they've actually done a really nice job with the border artwork, as well as an additional framings. We've got the golden border, we've got the name of the card, and then this nice extra framing within the image itself. So that's really cool. So let's pick another one. Let's see, what's this? 10 of Spirals. I'm going to guess that spirals is similar to discs. We shall see. So we have a centaur man, and he is carrying quite a load of spirals. So, given what we know about traditional tarot, this might be analogous to the Ten of Wands. I'm not really sure. I'm very curious to see how this deck works with their different symbols, because it's not immediately obvious to me. We've seen scrolls, and this looks like this is an Ace of Scrolls. We have keys. We have writing. See, this makes me think it's air, right? We've got a bird. We've got scrolls. We know that the swords and the air element tends to have to do with communication. So the spirals might be fire. Let's see what else we have. And actually, I think I have these all upside down. Five mirrors. Oh, that's beautiful. So maybe mirrors is cups. Got like an emotional, reflective type quality, similar with water. So let's consider 5 of cups, and the Rider-Waite, if you recall, shows a figure in a long robe with the back turned to the viewer, and it appears that the figure is actually looking down at some cups that have fallen, right? And so the card really shows reflection and some grief. So if this is true that the mirrors is also aligned with the water element, then we're also seeing kind of a reflective quality here. And the Six of Mirrors, we have Pan playing his flute in a beautiful garden. Really interesting. So this looks like this is going to be kind of a real thought-provoking deck. Definitely challenging some of the more traditional aspects. Ooh, okay, so now we have Kali, and we have 16, the Tower. So this is actually very similar to what we might expect. Stack that up. In a traditional tarot, in terms of, if you're familiar with the Tower, you know this is really an abrupt event that really shakes the foundations of your perspective, your light, your life, sudden events, right? Earth-shaking type events. And so here we have Kali, and look at that. I mean, Kali, if you're familiar with the Hindu goddess Kali, you know, she is, you know, a destroyer, a devourer, but she's also a renewer in some ways. But she is the one that shakes things up. And we're definitely seeing that here with the Tower image. We have Kali, we have the lightning, and we have the tree being burst down and split in two, and we have, of course, that archetypal image of the actual tower being burst. So I'm definitely seeing this as like a breakthrough of old worldviews, old consciousness, to rip way for new ways of looking at things. So very interesting choice there with Kali. The Lovers. Everyone loves this card, right? The Lover's card is interesting. Depending on how you read, a lot of times, the way I learned was that the Lover's card had to do with choices that you make that need to be true to your heart, listening to your heart's truth, and also tied to love and romance, obviously, as well, because of the name, the Lovers, but really, more than anything, highlighting decisions, making choices, being true to heart. And so this image is interesting in that we've got a tree. We have, of course, lovers, and then doves, more loving. And then we've got, you know, the animal kingdom, and what appears to be a wise, well, I'm assuming wise, king-type figure or emperor. So this should be an interesting one to learn, too. Really intrigued by this. Okay, and then that's the intro card. Looks like we've got some information about the artists, Holly Sierra and Toney Brooks. So these are the folks that we can thank for bringing this deck into manifestation. And then, of course, we have Merlin, the hero. So this is interesting. So the Fool. We know the Fool card is typically 0, and we have taking leaps of faith, trusting, going in with that childlike consciousness of just jumping into things. Sometimes this is a good thing, you know, calling for just trusting in yourself and trusting the process. And sometimes it can also highlight literally being foolish and naive and jumping into something without thinking it through beforehand. So obviously context. But here we have some different spin. We have Merlin, and instead of the Fool, we have the hero. So it looks like the Chrysalis Tarot paradigm is really taking a unique stance on the Tarot sequence and the Tarot archetypes. So this is definitely going to be an interesting deck to work with and to learn from. So in with the deck, you know, if you order just the deck itself, this is what you get. You get all these wonderful, beautiful cards, and their lovely backs. 4 of Scrolls. Yeah, I think scrolls, look at this. Wings, I think that's air, because 4 of Swords. So you get all of these wonderfulness. And then you also get, let's put that there, you get, of course, a little white book. That's actually a pretty good size. you know, not too shabby. So it's got an introduction. It's going to go into the majors and look at that. Okay, so we've got nice keywords, traditional titles, and it's going to go through and give some short synopses. So this is actually nice. This looks nice and thorough. It's not just a list of random keywords. Going through more. I'm wondering, do they tell us? Okay, yes. So the mirrors. Oh, we were right. Look at that, cups. So it looks like they're going to give some indication about the traditional elements. So if you work with the elements in your reading, as I do, you know, that's going to definitely be relevant to you. And I'm going to guess stones is probably earth, which would make those spirals more like the wands. Let's see if we're right. Yay. All right, so that's cool. Scrolls. The trope. Okay, so we have the court cards are called the trope. Minstrel, the artiste, the illusionist, the acrobat, the sojourner. Interesting. The watcher, the dreamer, the healer. Really cool stuff here, you guys. This looks really fascinating. I'm really interested to dig more in. And then they have the pentagram 5-card spread. So it looks like we've got an elemental spread. We have the element of spirit. We have the element of earth. We have the element of water, fire, and air. And the significator card in the center. So that's kind of interesting. And it's interesting to me that they've actually inverted the pentagram within the pentacle, right, within the circle. Because I know generally when I do it, I'll do it more like that, right? So 1 is up here. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I like the top of the star at the top because spirit belongs up at the beginning, right, up at the very top. So that's just a layout preference, I think, more than anything. So this is what you'd get with the deck. You'd get the deck, the nice hearty little white book, these intro cards, and a standard box. Okay, so that's fun. And then we have the book. So this, like I said earlier, Toney Brooks, Holly Sierra, this is sold separately. This is a more recent addition to the Chrysalis line. So it says this illustrated companion book explores the spiritual journey of self-discovery and transformation that leads to higher consciousness. Part 1 examines the magic and energy of the other world that guides you on this journey. Each of the 5 chapters focuses on a character from the Chrysalis Tarot, illustrated with an original sketch by Holly Sierra. Toney Brooks relates wisdom from new physics, the collective unconscious, archetypes, healing, and chakra work. Part 2 of this book expands on the interpretations of the 78 cards. In addition to Toney's insightful descriptions, Holly shares the inspirations for her Chrysalis Tarot artwork and presents her original black and white sketches for each card. So this is nice. So it's going to go expanding on the interpretation. And then we're also going to get some more look at the actual artistic inspiration, which is really, I'm glad they're doing that. You know, it's nice. I'm an artist myself, and I have a lot of appreciation for artists, and so it's really nice to hear about the artistic process that goes into a piece of work, because a tarot deck is no small project, and especially a deck that seems to really play with, you know, so much of the tarot structure. So we have, it looks like illustrations are in black and white. So let's look at the table of contents. All right, about the instruction, part 1. It looks like we're going through the majors. Unseen Travels, Merlin's Storyteller's Vision Quest, Morgan's Cauldron of Rebirth. So we've got 5 chapters. And then part 2, we're going to actually go into major, minor, theory of the trope cards, and then we have a spread. So we've got our forward. Forward by the well-known Tally Goodwin. And then we launch right into the introduction. So it looks like the font is very nice. The paper quality is good. And then we go into these, really to help us understand, it looks like the storyline of the deck itself, the worldview behind constructing it. And then we're going to actually get into reading, and then part 2. So we're going to actually look at card meanings, and then the journey, the artistic journey, reversals, and then the cards. Very cool. Very nicely done, you guys. So I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be a lot of fun. I think this will present some new challenges, really. And then the fairy ring spread. With the sample one, that's always nice. And acknowledgements, of course. No index, though, but we do have a bio. And it seems like an index is probably not really necessary since the table of contents is pretty clear. The book is broken down in a really logical way. So, yes, looks good to me. We've got this nice portable one that looks worth keeping, and of course, the deck itself. So anyway, you guys, I'll try to follow up with an update once I've played with this a bit more and see, you know, how it feels to read, you know, and what kind of feedback I get from it. Okay, so again, enjoy. I hope that that you give this deck a try if it calls to you. The last I saw a couple days ago, it was actually on sale on Amazon for like $10 for the deck, which is a steal. So, and then the book was about $9, so it was like $20 for the whole thing. And you know, if you're in the tarot world, you know sometimes a whole deck costs over $20 depending on what you're getting, because you're getting artwork, right? So you're investing in art that's empowering. So anyway, blessed be everyone. I hope you have a wonderful day, and thank you for watching my video walkthrough of the Chrysalis Tarot.